Start recording just in case.
Yep, good idea. Hey, just to let you know, Nathan, please do not mute me. Or mute yourself.
Jeff Matthews, Ashton Rich. It's crunch time. Jeff Matthews, Ashton Rich. It's crunch time.
It's crunch time here in the studios of 91.9 FM. Jeff Matthews, Ashton Rich, Brad Bader. As always, welcome to Tuesdays. Probably my favorite time of the week. We get to
It's my
sit
least
down.
favorite time of the week.
Oh my gosh, you're fired. Get out of here. It is a lot of stuff going on in sports. Once again, baseball's finally in the full-blown swing of things. Thank you, Texas, in full capacity. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we don't know yet. But a lot of stuff going on. Austin P football, Austin P basketball gets a new head coach. We look at the NCAA championship that wrapped up last night, some baseball news, and then we wrap it up with some golf stuff. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. And Ashton, your favorite part of this show. How was y'all's weekend?
I'm going to say it. Everybody hear me? Don't ask me how my weekend was.
Brad, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. Like you said, Texas going COVID strong. Ran the audio for that nail-biting Austin P game this Saturday.
Yep. It was a pretty close game, I saw.
Yeah, so we this week I wasn't producing. That was actually Nathan getting a good game in under his belt before he leaves us in the summer here coming up. And so I was graphics producer, which means
nice.
during the game I was watching the game. And we went over to the stadium because I went to go help Steve and Jay get the cameras back, and we were watching the last drive pretty much. And there was that one throw that Draylon had where he almost threw an interception, and I'm watching D'Angelo break on his route, and I saw 4 defenders around him. There were 4 racers around him. And in my head, I said, Draylon, don't throw it. And I looked back, and Draylon's already got the ball cocked here. And I was like, oh, God.
Oh, it's not looking good.
This is how we lose.
But did not throw an interception.
Luckily, defenders have bricks for hands.
That's in our favor. We'll take it. Dub's a W. My weekend was pretty interesting. Not really. Friday, I got a citation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it turns out you have to renew your tags on your car, and I just forgot to do that.
I've been there. Not going to lie, last summer, probably around August, I got a ticket because my tags expired in December, and it was August.
Yeah, mine were in November.
Yep,
November.
I've been there.
So she was like, you should probably get this fixed. And I was like, I will.
Thank you, Miss Officer.
I'm so sorry. She still gave me a citation.
Yep.
Understand. Definitely deserved it.
Yep.
We move on. Easter, fun time for us. I finally got to go see my mom, and since I've had my first round and she's fully vaccinated, we actually got to have a pretty somewhat normal Easter. She's a nurse, so have to kind of be careful around her, around some things. But other than that, pretty good weekend. And then coming into this week, it was pretty exciting. Braves did not do well. That was heartbreaking. They got swept by the Phillies, but, I digress. But let's go ahead and jump right on in our first topic, Austin Peay football. 34-31 win over Murray State. Battle of the Border every year. It's always a fun time to watch that game. Unfortunately, I didn't really get the chance to watch it. I did have a friend sending me updates, though, who was at the game. Draylon Ellis, 227 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Ahmad Tanner had 25 carries, 122 yards. He had a touchdown on the night. D'Angelo Wilson had 10 receptions for 99 yards. And then C.J. Evans and Eugene Minter both had touchdowns in this game, passing touchdowns. It seemed that it was a pretty close game towards the whole entire time, really.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the story of the season for Austin Peay this entire season is close games. And Barry, we were post game eating, and Barry even said, he's like, we never get a season like this. He's like, every season we at least have one blowout, and this year all the games have been close. And I even saw the tweet after the game from I think it was Craig Haley. He said that Austin Peay is like one of the only teams, or maybe the only team in all of Division I football this year, whose I think its last 7 games were all decided by 7 points or less, and their last 3 were decided by field goals, with 2 of them being decided on kicks that end of the game.
Hey, they're keeping it close. There's a lot of fight in these governors.
Well, it's one thing to have close games against Jacksonville State
right.
and Murray State, teams that are ranked, and then it's another thing to have close games against Tennessee State and Martin. And
it's really weird.
Yeah, so
you
it's
go up
almost
against ranked teams.
It's almost like we're playing to the level of competition, which is not necessarily a bad thing if you're not a good team, but if you're a better team playing a bad team, you don't want to do that.
Exactly.
So we'll see if they play to the level of their competition this weekend against Eastern Illinois, who is terrible, by the way. They're not having a very good year.
Shout out to Tony Romo, his alumni.
Jimmy
right
Garoppolo
there.
as
Jimmy
well.
Garoppolo. Sean Payton, I believe, also went to Eastern Illinois.
Couldn't tell you who their quarterback this year is, though.
Yeah,
I briefly have been keeping up with them just because there was this wacky scenario I think we talked about last week where Austin Peay could have made playoffs had EIU beaten Jacksonville State. And all credit to the Panthers, they kept it close for a little bit, but Jacksonville State eventually pulled away in that one.
Yeah, Jacksonville State looks good. Fun fact about Jacksonville State, my grandmother was in town for Easter, and she randomly came up to me and was like, hey, I went to a Jacksonville State game the other day, because she knew that they were in the Austin Peay Conference, and that was a talking point that she had. But Jacksonville State does look good. I mean,
they always do.
They always do. I mean, that's just one of those teams that has been consistently competitive in the OVC.
With the Auburn and Alabama rejects, yes.
Hey, it doesn't matter, man. They still win games.
That's true.
They still win games. Let's move on. Austin Peay. Staying with Austin Peay. Basketball has been moving quite a bit. Matt Figure decides to resign after this last season with Terry Taylor, and now in comes Nate James out of Duke. What are your thoughts?
Be honest, I don't really have thoughts.
It's an interesting pick.
Yep. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, it's kind of like we said last week, where if there's ever a time for a coaching change, it's now when you know you're about to rebuild anyway.
Right.
They did have the introductory press conference for Coach James today.
I believe it's at 2 p.m.
Yes. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
We'll have to see how that goes now.
Obviously, coming from a premier program that's, been a premier program at least for the last 20 or so years, Duke.
he has been involved with players like Kyrie Irving, like Zion Williams. I mean, back in 2010, 2015, both NCAA titles for Duke. I mean, these are kind of things that you do want to see in a coach. I mean, this isn't, way back when. This isn't years ago. I mean,
it's kind of the new standard of hire for Gerald Harrison and Austin Peay, right?
That is true.
He's on the process of, I want to hire people who have championship pedigree, championship experience.
Right, and I think he's going to get it. I think Austin Peay is definitely, with this hire, depending on how the recruiting looks and how the offseason looks for Austin Peay, with Nate James coming in, I think Austin Peay, if done correctly, can really make a run for the NCAA tournament this year, to get to the NCAA tournament, I should say.
By the way, confirmed Jordan Adams, former Austin Peay guard, transferred to Butler.
That he did go to Butler?
Yep, that's what I understand.
I knew he had entered into the transfer portal. I hadn't seen that where he had gone.
He made the announcement maybe Sunday or yesterday, one of the 2 days,
yeah.
And it was Butler is what I've heard this morning.
I mean, not a bad school.
Sure.
I mean, he's a good player. I don't know. Hopefully he has some success. Good luck to him as well. I mean,
absolutely.
He was a strong player for Austin Peay. It just seemed that this past year he had some troubles getting things to work.
And part of that
everything
could have been a
aligned.
coaching thing.
That is true, too. And, I think it's fair to say Matt Figger has had a reputation of being aggressive. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing, right?
Yeah. So I agree with what you're saying. And we obviously have done a lot of Austin Peay basketball broadcasts. And just kind of, Midlick was intense,
right.
But Midlick was always kind of a nice guy.
Yes.
Figger, on the other hand, was never rude or mean, but you could tell that he was very
passionate.
Yes, and even in post-game, halftime interviews, he was very to the point. He was he was not necessarily rude, but kind of short, if that makes sense.
He was more during the games, during those halftime.
But that's how
interviews.
coaches are.
Exactly. During those halftime interviews, he was usually anytime that he was super short or didn't really want to give an answer, it was just because he just felt that he needed to get back to the locker room and have a conversation. That's really all.
And it's just a coaching thing.
It is. And so, but at the end of the day, some players take to coaching, some players don't.
Right.
Now, whether that was the case for Jordan Adams, we don't necessarily know, but that's just kind of something that we have observed from the outside looking into it. Now, with Austin Peay, what do you think? What would be some key positions for Austin Peay to look for in the offseason coming into
everything?
Everything. I mean, that is a very true point.
You're losing your 2 leading scorers from last year, 2 or 3 leading scorers, I believe, if not mistaken. I mean, there's not one player remaining on the roster. Carlos Paez is one key contributor that remains on the roster at this time.
Right.
You never know, transfer portal, NCAA rules, anyone can transfer at this point. But Carlos Paez, also referred to as Chino around these parts, Chino is one of the few key contributors that I know of that's still on the roster, and he's a guard. So, I mean, really just everything. They need it's going to be they're going to have to get on the recruiting trail, and they're going to have to make some stuff happen for sure.
It's going to be
or get some transfers.
Yeah, they're going to have to be looking for a lot. And I think Nate James might be able to bring some really good recruits out of the Duke portal into Austin Peay. I mean, you never know what could happen.
Could be a possibility. I know Duke does have his last name's Goldwire. At the moment, his first name escapes me, but he's in the transfer portal. He's going to be a redshirt senior, I believe.
Okay.
He was a freshman the year that Jason Tatum and RJ Barrett wasn't with Jason Tatum. It was who was Tatum with? Tatum was with Tyus Jones. No, that was with Julie Okafor and Tyus Jones. Anyway, I'm getting all my Duke players mixed up.
I was going to say, now you're messing me up.
I've got all my Duke players mixed up. They all kind of run together at some point, especially when you have as many one-and-dones as they do.
And I mean, they've perfected. I don't want to say perfected.
Kentucky's the one that perfected it.
Kentucky's the one that's perfected it. But Duke is a strong team. I mean, they do well with the one-and-done type of player situations. I don't see Austin Peay turning into that ever.
No, absolutely not.
Unless for some miraculous way they are consistently making it deep into the NCAA.
And that's just not going to happen with heavyweights like Belmont and Murray State in the conference.
You never know. Never know. Let's go into, speaking of the NCAA championship, it wrapped up last night. Kind of an exciting game, Gonzaga versus Baylor, the 2 top seeds.
Where did your bracket finish, Jeff?
I don't know why we have to keep bringing it up.
I just genuinely want to know because I see the jokes, but I just want to know genuinely because I did not make a bracket, so technically I'm the real loser here for not participating.
Maybe that is true. So going into the Final Four, I believe I was still ranked first in our league.
Oh, that's tough.
I was still ranked first
because you're in last, right?
Yes, yes. Everything happened. The Final Four took place and everything just got destroyed.
Bro.
And I was just like, okay, that's fine. And then proceeded to get text and heckles from our producer, Nate.
Nathan was so... I didn't see my phone, and Nathan was like... I don't even remember what it said.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it
It's
said.
on you.
I sent a text to the guys
Oh, my
the other
goodness.
last night, and I said, "Hey, you guys, I'm writing up the lineup for tomorrow. I'll send it to you soon, or something along that." And then Nathan goes, "Hey, why don't we talk about how your bracket sucked?"
Oh
and
yeah,
I
now I
was
remember.
like, "Oh my gosh."
It's like, yo,
I'm getting roasted by my peers over
Oh, my
here, and it's driving me
goodness.
crazy.
That was
Not
so
a fun
funny.
time. Baylor did take the championship, and in my opinion, wow, deserved it.
Didn't watch the game.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm
Didn't
sorry.
write a bracket. Didn't watch
What can
the
I
national
say? Just
championship.
don't really care about college basketball
That's
this year.
fair. That's fair. It was such a weird game to watch because I've seen Gonzaga play many times, and they played well, being able to get rebounds, being able to put points off boards, and everything else. And then this game just couldn't get much done. I have stats right here because I'm a stat guy.
There you go.
Gonzaga 22 rebounds. Baylor had 38.
Now, I did see at one point, and this was a recurring stat, 'cause I kept tabs on the game. I wanted to see what was going on.
Okay.
Gonzaga at one point was like 1 of 11 from 3, while
Yeah, I
Baylor
think-
was like 8 of 12
I
or
think
something
that
like
might have
that.
been first half, and
That
I
was first
didn't
half.
have the game on until second half.
It was, yeah, I looked at the
But
stats.
I
was
think
like,
you're right.
Wow. I was like, what happened?
It was bad. I think Baylor went up 9-0 at one point.
Okay.
Like I think
I
it was
did-
a pretty rough start, and then Gonzaga I don't think was ever really able to kind of get back into the swing of things.
Yeah. I did see a tweet today that was like Gonzaga is that AAU team that just had a really good season but hadn't ran into that inner city team yet.
Right.
And I don't, like I said, haven't watched it, but if, that type of it, because I did see some highlights, and it looked like Baylor a lot of times was just out hustling Gonzaga.
Oh, that's
for some
exactly what
things.
it is. I mean, offensive rebounds, Gonzaga only had 5 offensive, and then Baylor had 16 offensive
Yeah, it just
rebounds.
sounds like that Gonzaga got straight up out hustled.
They did. I mean, and you could tell, and it was frustrating, especially for me who wanted Gonzaga to win. I mean, just watching them not chasing after the ball or making really bad shots. Looking at the field goal percentages, and 2-point field goal percentage, Gonzaga 25 for 49, and then 5 for 17 in the 3-point field goal range for Gonzaga. And then you look at Baylor. They had 8 steals on the night. And then the turnovers were another issue. Gonzaga had turned the ball over 14 times. Baylor was able to hold it to just 9.
Mm.
I mean, it was just a consistently struggle for Gonzaga to, like you said it, out-hustled.
Yeah, and it's another one I saw was a replay of an ISO shot on one of the Baylor players who went out of bounds to save the ball, keep it in play,
Mhm.
went behind the scorer's table as a result, came back, ran across the court to contest a shot
Yep.
from the corner 3. And all the tweet said was like, effort is not a talent. Effort is just effort or something like that. And
That's funny.
that's what it sounds like, because like it just sounds like Baylor really just out hustled and out efforted.
Yeah.
If that's
so
a word.
It was actually
Gonzaga.
kind of funny that you said that. My father has a saying, and he is from like Podunk, Texas.
Old boy,
Old
yeah.
boy from Texas.
Yeah.
And I remember anytime you ever did anything, and if you did it wrong or whatever, he scolded you for it or whatever, and you said like, "Well, I tried," he would look you dead in the eye and go like, "Let's not confuse effort with results." And I was like, "Oh my gosh."
I mean, Pops has got a
Hey,
point.
Pop's got a point, man. Pop has definitely got a point. Thanks, Dad. I appreciate it. Let's. I mean, the NCAA tournament was what. You didn't even participate, so I feel like I mean, it was such an
I
exciting
kept up with
time.
it, though.
Yeah, you kept up
It's
with
always
it.
exciting.
I mean, and I've told you before, this was kind of my first one that I have really watched intently and actually participated in bracket making, and it was probably one of the most fun marches I've ever lived in my life.
Yeah,
I mean, just consistently
It's a
waking up.
time.
I mean, you get to hang out with buddies, you get to have conversations with that, and Nathan never texts me, but that's fine. And
Nathan will text the group and heckle you. That's for sure.
darn sure right there. He will let me hear it about my fourth place
to be
finish.
fair, if I was in the thing and I finished higher than you, I probably would as well.
Yeah, I know. I was really disappointed in myself. It's a sad day.
That's results, not getting confused with effort again.
Yeah, I
is it?
know, right? No excuses. No days off, baby. Keep the grind.
Yes,
100%. Okay, next topic. We're going to move into Major League Baseball. Now, this topic, let me go ahead and just preface this. I'm going to try my best to keep politics out of this. But, however, I do think this is an important conversation to talk about. The Atlanta Braves did have the All-Star game removed out of Atlanta due to Georgia's voting laws that were recently put in place just last week. And my personal opinions are that I don't think taking it out of Atlanta sent the message that MLB was trying to do. Now, Major League Baseball came out and said that since they disagree with Georgia's voting laws, that was the exact reason as to why they took it out of Atlanta. However, I believe that the argument that they're making is that voter suppression is what Georgia's voting laws is doing, is what's being said. My view is that I feel like the All-Star Game had an opportunity to bring a lot of money into the city of Atlanta, who is predominantly black and predominantly African-American. And I feel like taking that money away from them punished a lot more people than just the people that they were trying to punish for, if that makes sense.
Sure. I'm not familiar with a lot of the. I don't follow politics. Don't keep up with it. Just don't. Never.
I try not to.
Just never have cared to keep up with it. I saw the MLB thing and was kind of just like, it's MLB and it's politics. So to me, I'm just like, I don't care. Like,
right.
So I didn't follow it. Haven't kept up with it. I mean, ultimately they're gonna do whatever they want to do with it.
That's a very true
and,
statement.
It obviously doesn't directly affect me because I do not live in the state of Georgia. So I guess my view on it is that I don't really have a view. Obviously, voter suppression in any form is not cool, but
right.
Once again, I'm not familiar enough with details to make a decision for myself at this time.
Brad, you got thoughts?
Bring it to Clarksville, Tennessee.
Oh wow!
There you go.
This idea.
All-Star game.
Well,
Let me
out of our
get
stadium.
Rob Manfred on.
We'll
the
have
phone
it at the
real quick.
hand.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!
Yeah,
at the
just
hand.
have it at the hand, baby.
Oh
There you
my
go.
goodness! Can you imagine if? I'm just trying to picture that.
That'd be wild.
It'd be crazy.
It'd
It would
be
make
nuts.
zero sense.
It would
Uh,
no
n-
make
no
no
one
sense.
would
Zero
understand.
cents. The town would be filled up. Mayhem's what we need.
It's-
We don't
now.
have.
It would
We
be
do not
literal
have
chaos.
enough hotels.
It would be chaos.
It would be wild. But now the question is, where do they put the game now? And I think that's what they're
Just
trying
send it to Haiti. It'll be fine.
Haiti?
I don't know.
That's
I
a
just
long
thought
ways
of a,
away.
I just thought of a random
That's a good
country,
one,
basically.
though. I mean, there are a lot of international players that started for Major League Baseball on opening day. I mean, it's grown a lot. I mean, but Major League Baseball has always been really good about incorporating international players into the
Specifically
league.
like Caribbean and
Yes.
Asian American and
Yes,
things like that.
Latin America.
Yes.
I think the number was 256 international players started
Really?
on opening day, which I thought was really cool. And so,
Speaking of international players,
oh my gosh, yeah, exactly. You read my mind. That was where I was going right next. Shohei Ohtani, big showtime.
I mean, send it to Saturn. Hit the
Like,
seams off the
I
ball.
texted you guys. That ball still has not come down.
Uh,
Shohei Ohtani rocked. I'll say it again. Rocked.
if you have not seen the video, I implore you to fire up Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
Any of them.
MySpace, if it's probably on there, just whatever platform you use, and go find it because the ball coming off of his bat literally sounds like a gunshot.
So, I mean, what was it? 115 miles per hour was
Exit
the exit velocity. I believe the ball went 450.
Yeah.
I think was the number.
Yeah.
I mean, completely rocked the socks off
It's
of this
ridiculous.
ball. It was impressive. It was incredible. And then I was telling you, the ball was high. The ball was literally at his shoulder.
See, you said that, but I didn't understand the concept of, like, is it harder to hit a high ball that hard? Or?
To me, it is. For me,
Okay.
so when I played, yes, I did not
Okay.
go for high ball.
That makes
Or
sense
if you
because
watch
a
Freddie
lot of
Freeman.
I was about to say, a lot of the home runs you see that are, like, really far, it seems like they're almost golf swinging at the ball. So
Kind
it
of.
makes sense, I guess.
There's a couple of different philosophies to hitting
Okay.
baseballs. So there's, if you ask Josh Donaldson, who plays over, the Twins now? He used to play for the Braves. He used to play for Toronto, and now he's with another team. He might play for the Twins now. He's really big on hitting the ball with a slight upward angle,
Makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
Which does make sense. But then there's also players who have the mentality of hitting down on the ball,
Okay.
creating that backspin.
Yeah.
So that
That's-
way,
I equate it to soccer,
it's more of
yeah.
like a. I'm getting into baseball mode. I'm excited. Turn the hips.
This is on film, so check us out on YouTube if you want to see
Yes.
Jeff
Yeah.
swinging the bat.
And so, I'm cracking myself up.
We need batting
So hitting
practice
down,
with Jeff Matthews.
hitting down on the ball creates that backspin. So you hit a line drivers, and
Yeah.
then they just kind of float up.
Right, it's almost like hitting down across a soccer ball.
Yeah.
It's the same
Where Josh
motion.
Donaldson argues that is when you hit down on the ball, you're putting too much spin on the ball,
I can
and
see
so
that.
it pops the ball up. So you're going to hit it far, but it's going to fall before the fence.
Sure.
All right, and that's where you get a lot of pop up. So that's kind of the philosophy behind that. Shohei Ohtani is a tall guy.
Just hits taters, so it doesn't matter.
That was my notes for him. I said throws heaters, hits stingers.
That's about it.
That's what he does. And then speaking of Shohei Ohtani, I mean, there's more. Like
Yeah.
he didn't just hit 115 exit velocity ball that went 415 feet. He also pitched 9 pitches on Sunday, all of which either hit 100 or went over. I believe I think the highest was 101 point something.
He's an animal.
Animal, right? So get this. Because he hits dingers, he will be the first pitcher in 118 years to bat in the top 2. The last person to do it was Jack Lundvie, September 7th, 1903. He only did it one time. And then there's been 3 pitchers that have hit for themselves when a DH, the designated hitter, was available. So the designated hitter, if you don't know, Ashton, is somebody who doesn't play in the field.
Yeah, I'm vaguely familiar with the concept of a DH.
Just want to make sure.
It's the American League, I think, that has the DH,
well,
and the other one has the pitcher.
I think now both leagues have the DH. I might be wrong on that.
Because I was always confused as to what the difference between the leagues was.
Yeah, and that was one of them.
That's the big difference I was understanding.
That's the biggest one was the DH. But I think they're now starting, because they've also incorporated interleague play, so American League playing National League during just regular season. They've also brought the DH to those games.
Okay.
So I don't know if they've already now incorporated into the National League or not. But only 3 pitchers hit for themselves when a DH was available. Ken Brett did it in 1976 twice. Andy, I'm going to mess up the name, and I'm so sorry, Sonestein, he hit in 2004, but it was because of a lineup card mix-up. Probably the DH that was supposed to take his hitting spot was not put on the card, so he was ineligible to play. And then there was Madison Bumgarner, who's probably the most recent. He did it in 2016. Shohei Ohtani, I think, will go down as probably the best pitcher hitter in the ever.
Modern era, for sure. Yeah,
I can't think of anybody else.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm in the middle of the throes of writing a paper on like sports, and a part of it's baseball history. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, Babe Ruth was a pitcher for a brief stint of his career, was he not?
Yes, he was for a brief stint.
Okay, so if you're talking about greatest pitchers and hitters, you've probably got to put him in the conversation. But
it's hard because I think the stint was so small.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like it was so okay, I
haven't got to that part of the paper yet, by the way. I just have
the
source.
So I think another example I could tell you is Chipper Jones.
Okay.
Chipper Jones actually got recruited for hitting, but he was a pitcher at the time. Like he pitched as well, and he was actually a really good pitcher. When he got recruited to Atlanta, or when he got drafted into Atlanta, he never pitched again. Never pitched ever again because he was such a good hitter.
Okay.
They had to put him in the field. Also, I don't think Chipper would have panned out too well as a pitcher in the major leagues because I don't think he was that good.
Okay.
But he was, like I said, the batting was incredible because he was the best switch hitter to ever.
Well, and to me,
play, in my
it
opinion.
makes sense that if you have someone who's a kind of a good pitcher or kind of a good hitter,
right,
and you can mold the likelihood of being able to mold both to a level that's good enough to be in the MLB seems very unlikely.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to take whichever one that you think is better and just mold from that.
Yeah, that's true. And Shohei Ohtani, wild pitcher. If you're throwing 100, you're a pitcher.
Yeah.
Right. You can't say no to that, especially him because he can.
But
pitch.
If you're hitting,
it's not like
if you're hitting balls also 115 miles an hour,
you can hit.
Velocity,
You're like we're putting you second, baby.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what they're doing. And I think it's going to work out fantastic for the Angels. And I think
Mike Trout is still there, right?
Yes.
Are they just like middling? Are they good, bad? Like
they're doing fine. I think that his. Oh man, how long ago did he sign the big contract? It was
Trout. I feel like it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, probably. So he has like 8 years left on it. I think it was a 10-year contract.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing okay. Mike Trout is a great baseball player. In baseball, though, sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 seasons where you're not doing amazing or you're not doing great, but that's not a terrible thing. Like it's just baseball. Like you develop.
I just like the dynamic of how great teams are built in baseball is just not known to me. I know in basketball, especially in the NBA now, typically you have 2 or 3 all-world players and maybe like one other all-star. If you're the Nets, you have like 5 all-stars because everyone wants to gang up on LeBron now in the NBA. And, LeBron gets Anthony Davis and the NBA cries, but, Kevin Durant gets Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Blake Griffin, and LaMarcus Aldridge, and nobody bats an eye, but that's a different story for a different time.
He digresses. So, and then now we have our next topic, and this one I'm kind of excited for because I don't think I've ever really talked about this sport ever on air. The Masters is coming up.
Masters week, baby.
Hey, I am excited. Brad, are you excited for the Masters?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Do you watch or play golf?
Turn it on a Sunday afternoon, take a quick snooze.
There you go.
Excellent.
So you don't really watch it.
He watches it like most people watch.
Yeah, that's true. I hate to be that weird guy that's like, I watch golf.
I think it's fun.
That was the, we know.
Well, no, I mean, like, we all kind of watch golf. It's fun.
Hey, my grandma loved it.
Thanks,
Nice.
Brad. I appreciate it. This is what I do. I get bullied. But no, the Masters is coming up, so a lot of people are trying to figure out who's going to take the cake on this one. Dustin Johnson, the reigning champ, I think is favored right now.
Love Dustin Johnson.
DJ baby.
Love
I
DJ.
mean, he's a solid player. I would like to see Justin Thomas win it. That is who I would like to see, or Bryson DeChambeau. That would be really cool to see him get
Beefy
a green
Bryson.
jacket. Man, anybody who can put on 30 pounds of just straight muscle.
His mentality with golf was so funny to me because he was like, you know what? If I start hitting further than anyone in history, maybe I'll be good.
Maybe I'll just win.
Like, he was like, I'm just going to put on like 30 pounds of muscle and start hitting 300, 400-yard drives, and we'll just go from there.
Hey, and
And
it's worked. He won a tournament not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and he's just hitting dingers out there. My favorite videos are to watch him hitting like during tournaments, and then just hearing the players like, okay,
Yeah.
like they just kind of like, good lord,
yeah.
like he just rocks the socks off of that ball. I mean, Phil Mickelson even has praised him on how hard he hits the ball, and it is so fun to watch because I can't hit that ball that hard.
So, fun story. Got a new set of clubs. Went and go play for the first time.
Oh,
First
no.
hole. Haven't swung them at all. So I
Yeah.
went and instead of going to the range, went to go play. First hole, I hit a drive, dead straight, pin high, 280 yards. I was
Wow.
like, but it was like 10 yards to the right, or it would have been pin high.
Oh wow!
I was like, oh yeah, that's what's up. I'm feeling this. It was the only good drive I had all day. And then last time I went and played 5 holes, left the course. I was playing so terribly,
Yep.
I just left. I was like, you know what? I'm just donating my $16 to Swan Lake today. I'm just going to leave
Thanks, Swan.
before I do something that I'm not supposed to do. And then yesterday I went to the driving range because, new clubs, obviously you got to learn how to swing them. So I'm trying to learn how to swing my new clubs, and I cracked my driver head.
Oh my
so,
gosh!
Yeah.
I'll tell you my quick story real fast because I think we're running low on time here. But when I played competitive golf in high school, we were at, I think it was Lebanon Country Club, and it was probably 106 degrees outside, and I straight up shot a 151
What, like on 18 holes?
on 18 holes.
Oh, my
I shot a
goodness.
151. I got I don't know what I got. I got sick in the middle of the tournament, and then next thing you know, could not do anything, and it was probably the worst experience of my life.
That just, wow. Me and my friends joke about being like 90, like we're giving each other tips, and we're like, oh yeah, that tip from like a 90s golfer, like in the 90s, and it's like, on a bad day, we'll hit in like mid to upper 90s, but 150.
Yeah, no, it was bad. My coach gave me a lot of grief on that one, rightfully so too.
Yeah, I imagine if I was your mom, I would have given you grief. 150,
Yeah.
my man, like
Yeah.
that. That you're almost taking 10 strokes a hole.
Hey, I will. Thank you for reminding me. No, it was worse than that. I got like a 20 on one hole.
How?
Does this make it? This is not a fun story to tell anymore. So, Island Green.
Oh, never say less.
Okay,
Yep,
thank you.
you're good.
I just wanted to make sure.
Say less.
Island Green sloped to the
No,
water.
I
Yeah.
too am a young man who loves to hit the water frequently on the golf course.
Not
so.
my best moments. Definitely did not start the next tournament. That's for sure.
I would hope not.
And I did not play the next year. That's another true story.
Be like that.
But that was because of injury. I tore my ACL.
Fair.
Tore my ACL in the
One thing we
offseason.
have not mentioned from the show today.
Oh,
we
yes.
talked about pre-show. Big trade yesterday in the NFL. Sam Darnold goes to the Cardinals. Going to not the Cardinals, the Panthers. God, I had that about scared some
I
Cardinals
was about
fans
to
out
say,
there.
wow.
From the Jets to the Panthers for I believe it was a 6th, a 2nd next year, and a 4th, something like that.
Yeah, probably close to that.
So, and then the Panthers have also said this morning that they're allowing Teddy Bridgewater to talk to teams and seek a trade. So it seems like Sam Darnold is the future at the quarterback position for the Carolina Panthers.
I like it. I like Sam Darnold.
I think it's a good move. So, personally, what I think is judging Sam Darnold and what he's done thus far in his career is unfair because he's been stuck with Adam Gase, who, as we know, is the worst coach that still had a job in 2021 in the history of football.
Right.
He does not need to be allowed to coach Pee Wee football, much less the NFL. He is a joke. He's a terrible coach. Anyways, so judging Sam Darnold on what he did with the handicap that is Adam Gase, and then also his best receiver being Jamison Crowder,
Right.
who, don't get me wrong, Jamison Crowder, quality receiver.
Quality.
But
Not elite.
Cole Beasley plus doesn't need to be your best receiver for you to be good.
Cole Beasley?
Plus. He's Cole Beasley, but slightly better.
Okay, I was
Is
like,
that
wait a
what
minute,
that
what?
means.
I got confused on that one. I
so
thought
now-
the Bills got rid of Cole Beasley.
No, so now you think, okay, Sam Darnold's going to the Panthers, who arguably have a top 5 receiving core in the league. DJ Moore is only like 23 or 24, 1,000-yard receiver past couple years, quietly a 1,000-yard receiver last year. Robbie Anderson, formerly of the Jets, also another very good quality receiving option. Panthers are getting Christian McCaffrey back, and they're going to have a high pick in the draft still with pick 8 or 9, I believe, and so they're going to be able to get a quality option there as well if they want to. Sam Darnold's got a ton of weapons now, not to mention he has Joe Brady, one of the great offensive minds in the league, and guess what? Sam Darnold is only 15 months older than Mac Jones, and he's about to be in his 4th NFL season.
Yeah. Mac Jones. Where do you think he's going?
Mac Jones is going to be either a San Francisco 49er
Okay.
or a
Jimmy G gone?
or a New England Patriot
No.
or Steelers.
No. Actually, no. I can see Steelers. I can
Patriots
see,
are drafting a quarterback.
I can see
So-
Steelers. I can't see Patriots, and
There are 4 teams so the Falcons have been reportedly open to trading the number 4 overall pick. The 3 teams associated with that so far have been the Broncos, the Patriots, and the
Bears.
Bears. Yes.
Bears got Dalton.
Now that I think about it, I could see the Bears trading up to get Mac Jones and then
Yeah.
making him Andy Dalton's understudy for a
Yeah,
year.
I
It would
think
be a
that could
stupid,
be
it would be a really dumb move.
I think
but
so,
I could see
too.
the Bears doing it.
Well, yeah. I don't think he would want Mac Jones studying under Andy Dalton.
No, if anything, Andy Dalton should be studying under Mac
Yeah.
Jones.
Don't get me wrong. Andy Dalton is
He's a quality option, but he's
lower
not,
than mid tier, I would say.
He's below average.
Yeah, below
But he's
average
not
quarterback.
garbage can tier.
Exactly. No, he's not a
If
Mark
we're-
Sanchez. He's not
Yes,
Mark Sanchez.
if we're ranking all quarterbacks 1 to 32, he's in that 20 to 30 range, 20 to 26 range actually.
Yes, he is. And I think I don't know. And then I know the Steelers wouldn't be bad if Mac Jones could get underneath and learn under
Ben Roethlisberger.
Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know why I can't remember his name on that
It's
one.
all good
I think that would be great for Mac Jones. That would give him a lot of opportunities to learn a lot of new stuff.
for sure.
But we'll have to wait and see. A lot of stuff going on, and we will have to talk about a lot of this stuff. Next week we'll have the winner of the Masters. We'll be able to see some more baseball, see how Shohei Ohtani looks batting second.
We almost forgot one thing. Right before we wrap up, sorry, Nathan. Give me a team I have to root for this year. Baseball.
Oh, baseball. I want to give you a team. I'm not going to give you Atlanta because that's my team. I don't want to give you the Marlins because that's mean. And then I'm going to give you you know what? I'll give you the Angels. I'll give you the Angels.
Okay, you'll give me Shohei and Mike
I'll
Trout.
give you
Gotcha.
Shohei and
Okay.
Ohtani. I'll give you Shohei and Mike Trout. I think that'll be a good
Not
one
gonna
for
lie,
you
I
to
thought
look.
you were gonna say like a really backwater team, like the Brewers or like the Royals or something.
No,
Someone that's like a small market team. But okay, I
I
could root for the Angels.
I'll take care of my boys.
I rock the color red. Yeah.
That is crunch time. Thank you guys for joining us. We shall see you guys next week.